The diamond apex stands as one of the tallest peaks of the Interstice. Here in the crystalline fields, it radiates a resplendent brilliance which traverses thousands of leagues away. For as long as people and creatures have existed in the Interstice, it has been revered as a symbol and source of purity and light. So pure, in fact, that most are unable to behold it without being blinded by it or harmed by its rays. However, a darkness approaches it, creeping ever closer. The light which would normally purge the existence of the Nighthaunt is being pushed back by a stream of shadow and haze. For weeks Vadalus has bided his time, waiting for the invasive shadow to finally reach the peak, and now the time was ripe for him to complete the task his master had ordained. Placing the ebon quartz gemstone at the foot of the largest peak of the diamond apex, it immediately begins to take root and infect the mountain with a pervasive shade. He begins the ritual, a long and lengthy act that required his utmost attention, but he knows that he wouldn't be undisturbed. He sensed the storm coming for some time now. The arrival of it was still unpleasant all the same. But in this artificial, shadow-filled and haunted realm, he felt confident in his forces. Melchior! He beckoned the Lord Executioner. The dogs of Sigmar come hounding once more. There is contempt and malice in his speech. He had grown tired of them trying to thwart his plans. Do you worry about completing this? The Lord Executioner asked. They fail time and time again. This will be no difference. Yes, but you have been bested in combat each time. Vadalus adds spitefully. Do not fail again, or I might not bring your soul back from the brink. Melchior stares long and hard at his companion. He was not accustomed to being reprimanded so, especially from Vadalus, one who usually leads with an unnatural calm and coldness. You need not worry. I will not be defeated so easily this time, he replies with confidence. He lifts his heavy executioner axe from the ground, a shrill scream emanating from his blade. From the crypt where they retrieved the ebon quartz, they had found a gemstone with a banshee's soul trapped within it. Binding this wretched soul to his weapon, it now exuded a baneful presence, and with each swing of his axe, a banshee's scream could be heard echoing from its axe head. He welcomed the next opponents that would stand against him. Then I leave the defenses to you, for I have much work to do. Vadalus leaves his companion at the front of the sanctuary and begins reciting the incantation as he drifts around the desecrating gemstone. This was likely once a place of worship by some forgotten denizens of this plane, but this place will soon be the beginning of their conquest for death. The Guardian of Souls calls upon his horde of chained Nighthaunts to standing vigilant around him, lest he be disturbed by the enemy. A troop of Hexwraiths also stand nearby, waiting to lead a screaming charge into the enemy lines. A deathly chill blows over the mountainside as the Stormcast approach the peak. A few of them had been here before and seen the resplendent wonder of the diamond apex, but this unnatural shade that has taken root here eclipses any of that beauty. Warmth and wonder is replaced by the ever-present cold and grimness in place. Joseph Geostar marches forward through the gem-encrusted landscape, now darkened by corrupting magics. The hermit's staff he held in his hands radiated a purple glow, guiding him here. Doubts stir in his mind, as the visions the staff had given him recently have led him astray. The stakes were high here, as whatever foul ritual the Nighthaunts have planned is disturbing the natural balance of these peaks. Beams of light now pulse with shadow, casting silhouettes of illumination on the ground. There was no telling if it was day or night now. Only a rapid cycling passage of time could be noted, and a dizzying dance of light and dark. Mordred Magister, Lord Celestant of the Stormcast, rides atop his mounts, wearing a pale white Dracoth with glowing red eyes. The Lord Celestant wore a bright red and white plumed helmet, so that all his forces may see him in battle to inspire their actions. He holds his heavy Tempestos hammer high, so that his banner flutters and snaps in the wind. Devon Wordsmith, Lord Relictor, catches up with the Lord Celestant and surveys the area.
I did not think something of this magnitude would have even been possible.
His hoarse voice echoing through his skull helm.
To corrupt a mountain of light with an eclipsing shadow. No good can come of this.
That is why we are here. To break that cursed gemstone the undead have claimed and cease this abominable ritual.
Mordred announces. The usually soft-spoken lord had thunder behind his voice as he set his mind to task. The Lord Relictor simply nods as he begins making a prayer, hoping for divine light to guide their course and offer protection. Joseph utters an incantation as he holds his grand staff aloft, urging forth a living spell to take form. But the glowing light of his staff waves and nothing comes of his efforts. The Stormcast march in formation towards the peak. Hurricane crossbow raptors take to the high ground for a better vantage point as the army reaches the summit and the enemy finally comes into view. Aetherwings fly close by, ever watchful for enemies. The slow lumbering retributors seem lost as a miasma of shadow overtakes the field and their advances are hindered. Dracoth's bound forwards, with Stormcast executors close by. Suddenly, from the darkness, a heart-stopping roar is heard as a longbow comes into view. Mordred orders for the beast to be intercepted as he hopes to advance onwards towards the ritual site. A torrent of wildfire flies out overhead as Oberon roars a blast of lightning towards enemy lines, dispersing a group of spirit hosts into cackling moans. The concussors charge on their Dracoth mounts. Their breaths blast gouts of lightning at the Mongol, who recoils from the assault but defiantly stands his ground. Their great hammers swing with conviction, but are battered away by the giant bloody claws of the terrifying creature. Vadalus could hear the intrusion of the Stormcast upon his ritual site. He quickly weaves a spell to cover a group of spirit hosts in a mist of shade. He looks to cast another spell to protect his forces, but he is undone by the counterspell of the Lord Arcanum. He curses the Stormcast mage for his meddling and beckons forth a cohort of banshees, shrouded in the dark. Drusilla answers his summons and emerges far behind the Stormcast lines with her handmaidens. She gives out a piercing shriek which cuts into the very soul of one of the Stormcast raptors, sending him away in a bolt of lightning. The banshees take delight in their surprise attack and scream forwards in a wave of terror towards the enemy flank. The Stormcast executors quickly turn to face their enemy as spectral blades cut through shield wall and formations. Drusilla joins in on the hunt as she closes in on the Lord Arcanum, swinging wildly trying to fend off the wayward spirits. Their eyes lock in the darkness, and a moment of their previous life seizes them both. Joseph recognizes her as a vile woman who slaughtered the royal family of a court he travelled to, her blood-stained body a vile reminder of the horrid acts she performed. Drusilla recognizes him as a travelling court mage. He was there on the day of her execution so many years ago. She laughed at their chance encounter as his forces are caught by surprise.
You've come to meddle in others' affairs once again. Haven't you failed enough times already?
Thou minstrel whore, your presence is a blight both in life and in undeath. Away with you!
He shouts as he blocks the thrust of her bloody dagger. Across the field more screams could be heard as a bloody wedge formation tramples on ethereal hooves. As if spurred by the sounds of battle, they collide with Dracothian guards locked in combat with the Mongol. Spectral scythes tear through the dragon-mounted riders, and they are soon surrounded by deathly spirits. Assailed on all sides, the Stormcast cavalry are quickly overwhelmed, and with the tearing claws of the Mongol bearing down upon them, bolts of lightning soon take them away from the fight. Mordred, begins his approach of the summit, but witnessing the flanks being crushed, he doubles back and goes to aid his failing forces before it becomes a full rout. He urges Eberron into a deadly charge against the Hex race, his hammer thrumming with power as he brings down on the ghastly cavalry unit. One of them manages to escape his wrath and retreats to the safety of his own forces as the Mongol approaches to face the Lord Celestant. Giant reaping claws rake across the armour of the Dracoth and Lord Celestant. Lightning pours out of the Dracoth's mouth trying to stave off the attack, but the ghoulish form of the Mongol evades each attempt. Mordred finds himself losing ground in a battle as his forces falter on all fronts. He swings his hammer in a wide arc, but the creatures evade, striking him from another angle. The nightmarish claws drive deep through his armour as bolts of lightning summon him back to their home city. In the den of battle, the bloody banshee continues to circle Joseph with mocking laughter. They exchange blows, but nothing substantial enough to finish the encounter. The Stormcast battalion soon dispatch the banshees, but before they can recover, Drusilla lets out an air-splitting screech. Helmets shatter at the sound of her howl, and several bolts of lightning send the Stormcast souls away. Joseph watches helplessly as his forces dwindle. He begins to call forth an incantation with his staff, when her vile voice breaks his concentration and his spell crumbles to dust.
You dare to use death magics here? Against the very agents of death itself? How foolish are you made to be so proud?
She challenges him, every word dripping with disdain. He goes to strike at her, but she disappears once by a spectral summon, leaving him alone with only thoughts of despair in his mind. Devon Wordsmith moves forward to find a safe vantage point, praying for Sigmar's blessings to aid them, but his words are lost into the blackened winds. His paladin retinue finally make their appearance on the battlefield, but far from the fight, as if the Shadowed Lands itself rebelled against their movements. Devon uttered a curse under his breath. It did not bode well for them here, and more worryingly, what will happen if this ritual comes to fruition? He raises his warhammer, gleaming with Azerite's energy, and calls for whatever remaining forces to engage in an assault. He would lead the charge. The diamond apex looms above the battlefield, but with each passing moment, the light fades and darkness creeps ever further up its peak. Shadowy tendrils digging and reaching inwards, as if to tear the light out of the mountain. Deathly cries can be heard echoing in the valleys below, as the magic of Shyish takes hold. Vadalus feels the fruit of his labours, feeling more empowered as the air is more suffused with the realm of death. He laughs as he can conjure up death magic as if from whim alone, letting loose a Shyish Reaper onto the field, blaze of souls trailing in its wake. It rips across the back line of the Stormcast host. Devon leads the last retinue of Stormcast warriors to meet against the Nighthaunts. Shields bash against chains and wailing hordes as they close for battle. Bolts tear across the field and support fire from the vanguard raptors, but against such an endless tide of death that bolts find little purchase. Even the brave Aether Wings swoop into battle, hoping to pick off any enemies they could. The Lord Relictor joins the fray, but a shrill cry catches his attention. A heavy axe scrapes along the ground, and a scream follows in its wake, as Melchior makes a wild slash at the Lord Relictor. The axe catches the Relictor's pauldron, tearing a spectral wound across his shoulder, but he counters with his own relic hammer, disrupting the incorporeal form of the executioner. In a moment of distraction, Devon doesn't see the approach of a Hexwraith coming to bear down upon him with a spectral scythe. In one quick motion, Devon is sent away in a flash of lightning, leaving only a scorched mark of dirt where he stood. Several more bolts of lightning call up the Stormcast souls as the battle is lost. Joseph rallies whatever survivors are left and retreats from battle, unsure of what doom this ritual will reap. Several days pass after the battle, the mountain peaks steadily getting dimmer with each daybreak. Vadalus reconvenes with his forces around the Ebon Quartz, now emanating an ominous power. Like a parasite, it feeds on the energies present in the diamond apex, all the while spreading its own influence upon the mountain. Vadalus raises his spirit lantern once more as he recites the final incantation. urging the shadows of death to devour the light. Silence falls over the entire mountain as the light of the core is slowly snuffed out. The land erupts with ghoulish screams as a shockwave of death magic ripples forth from the peak. The crystalline facets of the once perfect mount are shattered into countless pieces as an explosion of macabre magic sunders the plain. Clouds of dust take on the visage of Nagash himself as the eruption explodes outwards, devouring everything in its path, as if in a ravenous hunger. Flesh is stripped away from living creatures, leaving nothing but empty husks of bones and sinew. The souls of countless creatures are swallowed up in the grave tide, which only enriches the swirling magic at the epicenter even more. The diamond apex was no more, only a crater filled with a swirling maelstrom of malign death magic. Thank you for viewing our channel. If you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe. We also have a Facebook page and Instagram account. Links are within the channel banner. Take care and happy wargaming.